All right, it is 7 o'clock that I have. So Connor, I think if it's 7 where you are as well, let's go ahead and get started.
Awesome. I love it. All right. Welcome, everyone. Very happy to be hosting the 2024 Husky Open Regatta this year. And I'm so lucky to have Mariah this year as the chief referee. So we've put together a pretty good slide deck. And I wanted everybody to we'll do a quick introduction so everybody knows who's who um, for the team here. Let's see if I can get off of that and go to the next screen. There we go. So we've got race day staff. So Mariah, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, so I'm Mariah Foster. I know many of the names on this call, but I am the chief referee for this. So I have a full staff of referees that are in all the key positions, and we're here for the safety and fairness, working with UW to make sure everything runs well, and working with Connor to make sure we all have the best racing possible.
Wonderful. And we've got a full staff of UW coaches. We've got, I think, five from the men's team, and we've got a returner from the women's staff. So pretty excited for that. Timing's all done by here now. We'll have 500-meter timing as well. And we're lucky that UW ROTC is going to do our stern holders, and Harry the Husky might come out to join us, I heard. All right, so let's start with parking, just to make sure everybody's clear. We are going to lock cone off a section of E18, which is right by the Husky track there. If you can see it on the screen there, it's cones and orange, what do I want to call it? Streamers to break down the section there. We can't have any shells in E8. The university is creating a new basketball arena. So E9, where we're used to parking all of our cars, is now under construction. So we have everyone in the department is parking in E8. So it should be probably full of cars on Saturday for this race. You can arrive Friday, tomorrow night. If you'd like to, you can put wood boats in the wood chips, which now is grassed over. So used to be wood chips, now it's grass. There's plenty of room there for a lot of shells. And then Friday afternoon, we just can't have any rowing from that boathouse. We don't have any safety launches out on Friday afternoon, but crews can come in and dock on Friday. Quick note on Friday practice, the men and women have practice from 7 till 9 in the morning, and there could be a couple boats coming in and out. So you just have to keep your eye out as you come into the docks on Friday.
And
All
I
right.
will point out for those that are not aware, E8 is the parking lot that is right next to the shell house. So a lot of times you're used to putting your shells there, but that is what we're referring to as E8. So just kind of keep that in mind that that is that section there where that is that parking.
Yeah, and so if we look at it on the screen here, here's the boathouse with the red dot here, and this parking is E8. So we're going to be putting our shells all the way out here into E18. All right. Anything else on this one? All right. And if there are questions in the chat, you'll have to stop me. I can't see it necessarily. All right. So I'll run through launching from Conabear, and then Mariah can run through it also. So this is our E8 parking lot. It's likely going to be full of cars. I'm going to try my best to block it off so that we have a straight shot to come through here. And I've talked to parking services about blocking off a section so we can make it all the way down. Walking boats all the way down the walkway here. We have two big concrete boulders now. We don't want any cars to drive out onto the dock or the apron. And but obviously you can walk, no problem, and we can have all sorts of people out there, but we don't want any heavy cars to go out there. And you've got three dock options here. So six actual positions that you could launch boats from on each side. We are going to have a dock master that can help guide you. But in general, for this regatta, we've got a flight going out, racing, and then a row back. And so everybody will be coming back in. So we're all kind of going the same flow pattern for this. The UW crews will come out of the boat bays right here. And we've got, I think, six UW crews. So it's not very many boats that are coming out of the boathouse here. We do want you to provide your own bow numbers, and we want you to provide your own water and extra clothing. I think Mariah's going to talk a little bit about the weather and temperature, but we do want you to be in uniforms and with your bow numbers for U.S. rowing rules and for timing rules. Mariah?
Yes. So as we look at the weather, it is looking like it's going to be in the 50s and a little rainy. With that being said, please do make sure that you are bringing extra layers with you on the water. This does mean having those extra layers because if you are coming back to the boathouse after that row back, you will be sitting at the finish line area for a while as the rest of the flight goes before you get that row back. So it is imperative that you are bringing those extra layers with you, that you are making sure that you are staying safe with the weather that we are predicting. So it's right now, once again, looking like it's going to be in the 50s. We're looking like it's going to be a little rainy. So please make sure that you do have that extra clothing, those rain jackets, any of those splash guards that you might need, that you can pull off before the race, but then make sure that you can put back on after the race to stay warm and safe while we have that. For the water, just make sure that you do have any water or snacks if you need it. Just once again, once you race, you will be sitting at the finish line until the row back is occurring for you to come back to the boathouse.
Right. And we've tried to space it out so you don't spend too much time out there on the rowback, but it could be upwards of an hour for some of the first races in the flight. All right. So trying to work chronologically through this here from parking to the dock to out on the water. So we've got our warm-up pattern here. The buoy line is in. We've got these 3 lanes are in. This is accurate. We're going to have you go up the north side and turn and come back down the buoy lanes. We're still doing this dead lane. So we call this lane right here a dead lane. And the idea is to keep some distance between the traffic that's traveling east versus the traffic that's traveling west. We really would like you to try to go all the way to the ends of this traffic pattern, but we know that if you're in a hurry, you can only do a half lap. Then we've got this yellow buoy here. I think it's actually a triangle that you can make your turnaround to merge into traffic going back out. The full distance of this buoy line is 1,250 meters. So you can track about your boat speed for how long it would take you to get all the way down and all the way back based on what you're doing. Um, Once you are done with your warm up, we've got a staging area here, which, oh, sorry about that. And we have a roundup coach that'll be here. And that person's job is to collect everybody for their race and bring you to the staging area in trying to get you into lane order here. Now, this dock, we'll see a picture of it later, but it has a way for you to drop down the lanes in between it so you can go right next to your lane, row in right in between right by your lane and grab onto the stake boat holder and they'll grab onto your stern so you don't have to go very far. Now, if the pieces don't drop down, then it's just like a normal where you'd pull into the front and you'd go across and back into your lane. So we'll have another picture here in a second, but anything you want to add, Mariah, on the warm up?
I will add for the warm up, with that turning point in the dead lane, do make sure that you pull to the side as you do turn around it. It is not a, I'm out on the far side and now I want to make my turn and I'm now going to turn across all of the active lanes. It is a, I am pulling into the dead lane to then turn around that buoy and then continue up towards the start area. So do be very much aware of that, aware of all of the boats around you in that warm up area. And as you come up to the roundup, Marshall, at the top of the warm up pattern into the staging area, we do recommend that you are there at least 15 minutes prior to the start of your race. It will be a little bit of time, and I do understand that, but it is to make sure that we can get you staged and everybody ready to go so that as your race comes up, as the race before it goes, we can get you locked on quickly and efficiently to make sure everybody's race is on time. So we are expecting you to be behind the starting area at least 10 to 15 minutes prior to the start of your race. If you are not there, just be aware we might be looking for you, calling for you to make sure that we do get you there. But it is important that you are aware of that timing.
Great. So for the race, we are on 4-minute centers for many of the races, which is quick but not undoable. As long as you are in the staging area and you're ready, it's you're watching the race before you go and you pull right into your lane. It seems to work really, really well. We've gotten pretty efficient at this. So we've got 4 lanes on our course and we've got 4-minute centers. The buoys for the big yellow buoys for the start line will be in place. The big yellow buoys at the 500 are in place. The big yellow buoys at the 1,000 are in place. A couple of warnings are the green um, buoy right here, it's metal and it's hard. And we put the yellow buoy, try to put it right in front so that you see the yellow rubber buoy before you hit the metal buoy. Same thing down here. We try to put these yellow buoys in front so that in theory you go between them and then you don't have any problems with the red or the green cans, which again, these are metal down here. They're navigational buoys. They're set a little farther off than this. It looks like they're right on the course, but they're actually a little bit off. So you can actually probably fit 4, 5, 6 crews between these buoys, but we make it look this way to scare you, to try to make it clear like we really don't want you to hit these. Um, Once you get into the cut, there's a 1,500-meter mark on both sides of the cut, and you've got the bridge as another marker, which is about 300 meters, a little less, to the finish line, which is right here down at the finish line. We've got this get back zone, and we want you to stay out of this once you finish racing. We're going to have you stay, not out of it, sorry, but on the back side of it, we're going to have a coach here to keep you back. But let's pause here because I know I want to give Mariah a chance to talk about the race course just a little bit.
Yeah, so as you go down the race course, we are using those 4 lanes. We will have referees kind of following you for parts of it. So if you do have any issues, we do have referees that will be there following you down the race course. As you do enter the cut, the referees will not follow through the cut, but we will be monitoring it. And this is where I'm going to make a call out here and say, if you have any objections that come up at the end of the race, you will be talking to the marshal in the get back zone. They will work with you to raise those objections that you might have had from the race itself. So just kind of keep that in mind, that we will have referees following you, but any objections that you may have at the end of the race, you will be talking to the marshal at the finish line. If you do not talk to them, then we do not know that you have an objection. So it is important that you are speaking to them if you have that issue so that you can make sure that we are addressing that and can help you out with it. As was spoken about, Connor made a good point. Those navigational buoys are hard. They're metal. I have seen people hit them before, and I have seen people be ejected from boats before by hitting them. So it is very important and imperative that you are aware of where they are, coxswains or blind boats, that you are paying attention to that so that you are not going to hit them or run into them, because they are very hard and they do not move. So just kind of keep that in mind as you are going down the course.
All right. We might come back to this slide. Let's go forward because I want to see everybody to see the start line here. So this is Mariah's, well, would be Mariah's post, but we are going to have Mark here who's going to be on the tower as well. So anything on the start here, Mariah?
If you actually move to the next slide, I'll make the call out on the next one.
Okay.
So this is the slide I'm going to make some call outs for. If the weather is cooperating, we will be lowering the partitions in between. And as Connor mentioned, you will be able to row next to your lane and get locked onto your stake boat. So that is important to keep in mind. If weather does not cooperate and we do not lower those partitions, lanes 3 and 4 will enter from the lane 4 side and come in, and lanes 1 and 2 will enter from the lane 1 side. For those that are looking at this and not quite sure, lane 1 is closer to 520, where lane 4 is closer to the warm-up area, and you don't see it on this image, but it was also closer to where the alignment dock is for our judge at start. So please do keep that in mind. As you are coming in, if the partitions are lowered and you can pull in, you do want to kind of pull in. So like lane 4 will come in from the outside, 3 will come in right between 3 and 4, 2 will come in between 2 and 3, lane 1 will come in between 1 and 2. Keep that in mind. Weather will play a role. Right now, we are looking at having some wind. So as you get locked onto that start platform, it is imperative that you understand how to scull your boat around. You will need to be able to scull your boat around. So coxswains on this call right now, if you do not understand what sculling your boat around is, I do recommend that you talk with your coaches between now and Saturday. I can stay on at the end and help walk through some of it, but it is imperative that once you get locked on, that you immediately start sculling your bow around, because that wind will pick up and will pull you off that start platform. So we do need to make sure that once you get locked on, that you are able to keep your point so that we can run everything on time. So just kind of keep that in mind. There is a lot that happens at the start. You will hear a lot of different voices, but we want to make sure that we give you the best race possible and the safest race possible.
Perfect. Okay. Let's go to our next slide here. So starting procedures.
All right. So we will be using our normal start, which is what we call the pulls start. We will announce the names of the crew. You will hear attention and go, and you will see that flag drop in correlation with the go. If weather starts to pick up, we will move to a quick start, and you will hear this is a quick start, attention, go. The flag will move in time with it. I don't have a flag on me right now, so I do apologize. But we will be moving to that if weather does limit us to do a normal announced start. So it is important that you are aware of that. For breakage, with this race, we are still going to follow the 100-meter breakage. With that being said, we will pull you back if we need to and get you looped back in. It does not mean that you all have that race will happen right away. We are going to do the best that we can to make sure that everybody does have a safe and fair race. With this being said, for those that do race at Windermere later in the spring, know that breakage disappears and we do not have breakage at Windermere. For this race, we do have breakage. So kind of keep that in mind. It is that first 100 meters or first 20 seconds of the race. And breakage is not a my oar has popped out. Breakage is my oar has snapped in half, or my seat has broken, or my foot stretchers are broken. So please do keep that in mind. We do not recognize hands. So coxswains, if you are at the start line and you are raising your hand, we will look to see what is going on. If you are like actively doing something, we might pause for a moment to make sure that everything is safe. But if your hand's just up because you are kind of messing around or working on a point, we don't recognize hands. So we will look to see what's going on, but know that just because your hand is up does not mean that we are not going to start the race. So please do keep all of that in mind. Once again, we will have referees following, so they will be able to hop in right behind you and follow you down the course and make sure that you are safe and fair.
Great. All right, so the race is off and you are entering the cut. We just wanted to put this graphic up to show you how the 4 lanes would go through. We do not have a buoyed course all the way down to the finish line, so there's no full lanes for you to be in. So there's a kind of an imaginary lane here of if you use the bridge as your halfway point, lane 1 and 2 is on the left, lane 3 and 4 is on the right. And so that's kind of how you can use your points coxswains on the way down, is using the bridge as a point for where you need to be for what lane you're in. Anything to add there?
I will just say when you enter the cut, just kind of pay attention to what's going on. Once you enter the cut, we don't have referees following you. This is where kind of things get a little bit, we're watching, but we don't have a referee directly behind you unless there's something that is immediately happening. So please do kind of keep those points in mind because it will make a difference as you move through the cut to the finish line. And it sort of shows in this image, if you were on the lane 4 side, do remember that that wall actually cuts out. So if you are following the wall of the cut, as you get under the bridge and as you come through, it does cut out. So don't follow it directly because you'll be adding extra distance. Continue straight. So just kind of keep that in mind that as you exit the cut does start to get wide on the lane 4 side. So it is something to keep in mind as you are going under the bridge and finishing that last couple 100 meters.
Perfect. Okay, so you've crossed the finish line. This is our get back zone. We have a coach down here on a launch that serves 2 purposes. One is safety, to make sure that you're okay and provide anything that you might need at the finish line, but also to keep you back from getting close to any crews that have finished. And I will say, we have had crews finish races full speed, and there's a boat too close, and they hit each other. So we do really stress that you have to stay back. Harbor Patrol is also there in their police boats, and they're keeping back all of the power boats and sailboats and that sort of stuff. So we kind of have this zone right here to collect, but we do want you to stay back. I think the wind is going to be helpful for this. It's actually going to be pushing you a little bit northwest, so I think it'll actually work just fine. So that's our get back zone. Um, once you're once the last race of your flight has finished, then everybody will row back through the finish line just a second. I'll catch up with that. But everybody will row back, and I'll show you the row back route here in just a second.
And I do want to make one call out here. If you are a boat that is going to return to your boathouse that is on the waterway, after you finish and get clear of that get back zone, if you are returning to your boathouse and have those directions from your coach, you are free to go. If you do have the objection, you do need to raise it before you leave. If you go all the way back to your boathouse and then go, oh, I have an objection, it is too long, it's too past, can't bring it up. So do make sure that if you do have that objection that you do raise it while you're in that get back zone before you go back to your boathouse. But do, as Connor just said, make sure that you are clearing that space because it is important that we have that room. And as you spin around to kind of come back, if you are prepped and ready to go, we love that. But make sure that you are not encroaching on that finish line. Otherwise, you will hear my voice yelling at you to back it up, pull it back, because we want to make sure we are keeping that finish line clear.
Perfect. All right, so before we talk about the get back, because everybody wants to get to the finish and get to the results for the speed, we are on Here Now. I've sent it out a few times. It's also on Regatta Central. I had Here Now do a like an automatic lane choice, and it I think took like, say for example, we had like 14A and 14B, and so we ended up with two of the same team against two of the same team for one of the heats. So I did a little reshuffle using the system again to try to reorganize that. And it happened in three events. So I just encourage everybody to look back. I think it was the men's 3v8, the women's 3v8, and I think there might be one more, but please just take a look. I did one little shuffle today, so make sure you know you're in the same event. It just might be the A flight or the B flight, which is 4 minutes different. So just make sure you take a look. But the results are on herenow.com. Okay. Um, let's see.
I'll
Here
just
we go.
throw out one thing
Yep, go ahead.
real quick with that one. We will get results published as quickly as possible, but if we do have any objections, it will take a little bit longer. So just kind of keep that in mind. But we will make sure to get results published as quickly as possible so that way everybody is aware of them. But just FYI, it does take a little bit. We are human. So just give us a little bit of grace if you're like, why is the results not up? There might be something going on that we're working on. So
Sounds
just a head.
good. And one other thing that I just learned recently is if you turn your phone sideways, you can get the 500 times. If it's vertical, you just get times. I didn't know that until very recently. So very cool. Okay, so then our row back now, we finished all of our races. We've got our results. Everybody's safe. The last boat has come through. Typically, a referee will come down a little bit further to let you know that it is time to row back. You're going to row back. You can take any lane you want, 1, 2, 3, or 4, heading back. Once you get to the 1,000-meter mark, you're going to turn and make the most direct route towards the finish line, or sorry, towards the docks that you can. This is kind of a hot spot right here, definitely a danger point. There's going to be some people that want to get out for their race right away. They've got the start of the next flight. They're going to be coming out. So we're trying to maintain this traffic pattern of in on the left, out on the right. If you look at that, so just like in the UK here. But we want to make sure that everybody at this point is being very, very safe. This is where we've had a couple incidences where people coming out and people going in. So just be really careful here. We've got a lot of boats trying to come in at the same time. Back to the shell house here. When you get to the shell house, you can take any dock that's available. We'll have a dock master, so anybody that's trying to launch will probably hold one for launching crews and then trying to prioritize everybody getting back on the shore here for these two south docks and try to get you out of the water as quickly as possible. It really helps if you have somebody to carry your oars, if you have your shoes there, all those things that we know make docking really efficient is very helpful. You'll have someone there to catch your dock or your bow to pull you in. That always helps to cover coxswains just to get close, and then we'll pull you in the rest of the way. It doesn't have to be perfect. Um, and I think that's the rowback. Anything else for Mariah?
The biggest thing is once you get cleared to do the row back, it is just important that you do move. We're not as tight on time for this regatta as we are with some of the other ones, but just kind of keep that in mind that we will prep you and kind of be like, hey, after this race, the rowback's going to start. Please move with a purpose. And then as you make that turn to go back to the boathouse, just make sure that it is that tight turn. You're not going up really far because we are going to be prepping for the next flight to make sure that we're getting them in. And if it's that last flight of the day, we might have a stack up of sailboats or other boating that want to go through the cut. So we want to just make sure that we're respecting everybody. So just kind of keep that in mind.
All right. Safe and fair races. Anything else to add for being safe and fair for Saturday?
I think I know Connor, you can pull up the Q&A to see if there's any questions. The biggest thing is just make sure that you ask those questions. Connor and I will be at the boathouse Saturday morning if you need to find either one of us and ask a couple questions prior to racing. If there are any questions that you want us to re-go over tonight, we can definitely do that. But very excited for this regatta this year, and hopefully we have some really great racing and weather holds out on us, but not always the case. And one call out I'll make is Connor, Nick is double checking the bow numbers because there was something a little funky with it when you made that call out. He double checked. So coaches, give it 30 minutes, and bow numbers should be fixed.
Okay, it's probably my fault. Something I did. No problem there. And then I think I know we have medals for first place finishers in the Rose Auditorium in Conybear. So when you walk in the main entrance of Conybear on the west side, just to the right there is a little classroom, and that's where we're going to have medals for first place. Come on in and grab them. We'll check it off for whoever grabs them, and we'll be going off of the here now time. So if it's not posted officially, then we can't give out medals yet. Just an FYI for that one. Okay. And then for anyone that's new to Husky Open or to the race course, we're here to answer the questions that you might have. We know that it is somewhat early in the season. We're just getting started, it feels like, but we're here to help, and we really want to be a great experience for everybody that goes down the course so that we can all have a fun and fast time. So I'm going to stop the recording, and then we can answer questions.